Hello everyone and welcome to the FF News Virtual Arena. I'm your host Ali Paterson, and today I'm really excited for this one. We're going to be taking a look at the digital payments adoption in India. Digital payments, they've become increasingly prevalent around the world over the last 19 months. I can't think what global event it may have been a factor behind this. Some countries have adopted this movement far quicker than others, and today we're going to find out a little bit more about India's payment scene. Joining me in this discussion is Jukka. Jukka, the first time I introduced you, I pronounced your surname perfectly, and since then I have not been able to do it at all, but I'm going to go for it. We have Jukka Yliuntinen from Giesecke and Devront. Close enough?
Close enough, thank you, Ali.
Excellent, excellent. First of all, Jukka, are you in Finland at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Finland. We are, I guess, still all restrained with the COVID, so not much opportunity to travel.
Absolutely. With that in mind, can you just tell us a little bit about your role at Giesecke and Devront?
Yes, happy to do so. I'm representing our, let's say, payment division, which is basically serving retail banks, merchants, PSPs, from the issuer to acquiring side. And my role in the company is that I'm a global head for our digital solutions, which is basically a portfolio addressing all the digital solutions in this payment space.
Excellent. And now we're going to look at that sort of level of technology against the background of India. And so to help with that, we are joined today by the National Payments Corporation of India's Soujanya Aluri.
I'm Soujanya Aluri, and I'm Deputy Chief Digital Technology for the National Payments Corporation of India. And I've been graduated Masters from Computer Science, and then as well as I'm an MBA from Indian School of Business. And I have 2 decades of experience in finance and retail, and especially last 10 years is digital transformation for the various industries. And today we are going to talk about digital adoption and what is the crucial role NPCI played in the Indian's payment landscape. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's get straight into it. First of all, Jukka, from where you sit at G&D, can you just tell me a little bit about what you've seen in terms of India's incredible adoption of digital payments?
Yes, happy to do so. There are probably dozens of reports showing this major growth, but the one thing which is a factor, it's enormous. And one kind of a statistics is from the Reserve Bank of India, the central bank there. They have this digital payment index quite recently introduced, where they combine few factors like payment enablers, kind of a push or the demand and supply side and so forth to get to this index. And for example, on that one, they showed that it's growing 30% on a year-to-year basis. Well, that's one view, but then if you look some of the, for example, the fintechs, there is Razorpay, for example. They are one of the PSP established quite recently, and they are growing very fast. And their studies, and that of course addresses more the e-commerce transactional business and how fast that is growing. So they show year on year roughly 80% increase, which is a really, really big number.
This is the thing that I'm always staggered by with India as a whole, is compared to somewhere, let's say Europe, for example. Europe is quite a mature market. Whereas somewhere like India, not only is there a lot of people who have that demand for digital payments, but also those that are banked, those that do have that, they're still underbanked. They're still underutilizing their use of digital payments. So the scope is just huge. Soujanya, did you want to weigh in on this in terms of adoption of digital payments?
Yes. India's incredible adoption is started in 2016, where our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced demonetization where he is canceling the currency notes of 500 and 1000 and kind of decision has taken in the 2006 November. And that's where, because there is a cash crunch in economy and people are pushed to use digital payments. And in that year itself, there is 40% surge in credit cards. Previously, credit cards were only for affluent people in India. And now after the demonetization, credit card has become for the middle class and rural areas. Those sections of society also started using the credit card facility. And after that, pandemic has pushed much more digital adoption. And NPCI, apart from the card-based product, we have UPI product, Unified Payment Interface, where it's a mobile payment platform. All the banks of our country is connected to it, and Google Pay, Amazon Pay, and other payment applications like Paytm and Phone Pay. All these applications are very connected to our platform, and those applications are penetrated in the very rural India and everywhere, because India has a lot of millennial and a lot of young crowd, and smartphones are very cheap, become very cheap, and internet availability, internet 4G, 5G is penetrated in every, not only rural suburb places, semi-rural and rural places. I think the combination of everything has fueled digital payments to the country. And NPCI played a very critical role and vital role making India a cashless economy.
Excellent. And how much of this is being fueled by government and or central bank initiatives? Jukka?
Okay. I think it is always still a kind of a mix pack. So there is this kind of a push and pull, or chicken and egg. But my view is that public sector, especially in India, including, for example, the central bank, RBI, or also, by the way, the NPCI, they have done a lot to enable the digital payments in India. Probably more impact than many other markets, if we, for example, compare that to the Europe. Very recently, for example, just September this year, central bank also extended the mandate for the tokenization. So there has been something for this so-called device-based, which means that, okay, you have tokens, for example, different kind of wallets, XPay wallets, but also issuer wallets. But now it applied also for the card on file, so which means then e-commerce. And there is really strong push, because just September introduced, and the mandate is that you need to basically apply this by the year end, in this kind of a 4+ months time, which is maybe challenging, but also you can see that there is a really strong push to digitize and make, of course, therefore, those payments more secure and more convenient.
Yeah, of course, there is a lot of government and central bank push is very, very, very critical and vital in consumer adoption of the digital payments, because government is the first one who used all the digital initiatives, like all direct benefit transfers, right? What and all pension schemes or whatever the schemes government gives, including for farmers, right? They gave it in the digital payments, through digital payments, to curb especially the corruption and middleman. That's the motto. And that's where he started digital journey itself with the government. And RBI also, Central Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India also given zero MDR. I don't think so any country has zero MDR, merchant discount rate is zero. Absolutely, there is no charge for the merchant. And when there is no charge for the merchant, all the cost has to be absorbed by the banks in some form and shape. When merchant is not investing any heavy infrastructure because of the QR codes come, he doesn't even to buy the POS machine also. He just need to stick one QR code to accept the digital payments. Zero asset. You just go to the bank, get your QR code, and then paste it on the shelf, and you can accept digital payments. I think that zero MDR and not charging merchants, and then when the merchants are not charged, he doesn't charge consumers. I know that 6 years back, I used to pay 2% extra when I pay with my card than cash. Today, that problem is solved. Today, I don't need to pay anything extra for using. In fact, I get cashbacks today if I use digital payments. Yeah. And there are the Google Pay, that worldwide it is there, right? If I do 1,000 rupees transaction, they give me some 10 rupees back to my wallet, or some cashbacks, bonus points. There we are getting back. That's why more and more adoption has happened. The push is from government, the push is from central bank, and our platform, NPCI platform, and with the help of Google Pay and Amazon Pay, Phone Pay, these kind of applications, mobile applications, are really, really helped to push the digital payments in the India country. Yeah.
I did want to touch on loosely in terms of the consumer demand around this, because there was a period, I vaguely remember a few years ago, where there was a bit of a pushback against basically cash being greatly reduced, especially in terms of the actual distribution of physical cash. So where do you think that the consumer demand fits into digital payments?
Right. I think that in any given country, usually kind of a supply needs to come first. So you need to even know as a consumer that, okay, this is kind of the option I can use, whether it's a card, cash, or something digital. But once there is enough traction, acceptance, there is usually then high pull coming from the consumers too. And in India, one example is UPI, this Unified Payment Interface, which is a great example because it's a system that basically powers multiple banks to have their let's say services in a single mobile application on any participating bank. And then there are services like you can do fund routing, merchant payments, and so forth. And also P2P, enabling this kind of a push and pull money. And this was just launched 2016, if I'm correct. And now they have more than 260 banks integrated to this platform. And there are more than 4 billion monthly transaction on this platform. Just very recent figures show. And then there is projections that in 4 years, roughly 2025, this would be 50 billion. So you can see that once there is services made available, there is really this consumer demand existing.
Those kind of figures, it's always quite hard to imagine the sheer scale in India. I mean, the only other place that kind of sort of comes close is China, or even if you think of, say, the whole of Europe as a whole, because it's the sheer volume of people and the sheer volume of payments that are there. The infrastructure in place must be absolutely, I mean, if it's working 99.99999% of the time, at this scale, that's not good enough. With this movement towards digital payments in India, this sort of almost quite an incredible society change, well, what role does that technology play? What role does that tokenization within that technology play?
Yeah, actually tokenization, especially we have two kind of payments, card-based payments and mobile-based payments. But both of them, tokenization covers both of them. Yeah, and tokenization is, what is tokenization? Is your card number, right? Your 16-digit primary account number is not stored as your primary account number, neither in your mobile or laptop or merchant or anywhere. It is saved as your token. One token is generated for every PAN number, account number, and then when because of the tokenization, I can make secure transactions, safe transactions, frictionless transaction. And I don't need to enter account number multiple times in the multiple sites, right? One token will work. And at the same time, it's a consumer is heavily benefited. Even he lost his phone or merchant lost his data, what the hacker is going to get is only tokens, which cannot be encrypted or which cannot be taken into the account number back. And merchants also is very happy. He doesn't need to change any infrastructure. Tokenization is provided by NPCI, or tokenization is provided by Visa Master. We are the token service providers, where when token comes to us, we know we safely secure those tokens and account numbers in the vaults, encrypted databases very securely. That's why we don't pass any burden to merchant. Merchant doesn't need to change his code, or his merchant doesn't need to upgrade his systems. He can use as it is, and it really helps customers to feel safe and secure. Even they lost their mobile numbers, or they lost their laptops, they don't need to worry. Whereas merchant doesn't need to worry, they don't need to upgrade this one. I think tokenization is one of the best invention which we have it. And in fact, in India, RBI mandated that every merchant and every bank or every operator has to be tokenize the cards. No one should use the mandate also is given by the Reserve Bank of India to implement this technology by so and so date. Okay, and I want to touch upon one more technology, is EMV technology. EMV card is also has curbed a lot of fraud. In fact, because EMV, previously we used to have magnetic stripe cards where it is easy to counterfeit those cards and use it, right? Whereas in the EMV card, and you just can't counterfeit the EMV card. It's not at all possible. Even you lose your credit card or debit card with EMV chip, right? You are so safe that nobody can counterfeit your card. And all the ATMs in India especially is accepting EMV cards. And RBI also mandated that every card, all the banks should issue EMV cards. And we replaced all magnetic cards, 95% of magnetic cards with EMV cards in India. And these are the two technologies. Tokenization and EMV is really help to make safe and secure transactions. Yeah.
I believe it will become very important element in India too. Although, like mentioned, UPI, that's not a card, it's another rails, but there are a lot of cards, of course, issued in India, and tokenization is basically make a digital equivalent out of that physical card. And in India, of course, also the credit cards are not as big as the debit cards, but there is a vast number of these cards. So, and these will be now tokenized as per, sorry, also by the mandate of the RBI. And this pushing and regulating the market in the favor of tokenization, of course, helps there too. And then finally, I would say that once we are all still under this COVID, and tokenization, although it's not visible for the consumer, but it will be becoming very important for the people, because you are doing more home officing, you do shopping also from home and online, and therefore this technology enables much better security and the convenience for the consumers.
Absolutely. I mean, as a consumer, you don't want to think about the payment. You don't think, oh, now this is being tokenized. You just want to swap effort that you've put in for whatever it may be, the item or the goods or service that you're buying. Despite this, will tokenization provide the customer, what will it provide them when it comes to the e-commerce industry, which again is absolutely hockey sticking in India right now?
Right. Well, you are first of all very right that this should not be visible for the consumer. I mean, they just want to buy, they have their cards, they know about that behavior, and whatever technology there is behind, it should be invisible. And people still of course need to use their cards, and this is the way also how it should be, by the way, presented. So whether you are online or your wallet, that you can see that there is some sort of a digital card, and then you click this one, for example, on a wallet or e-commerce site, so then you know, okay, I'm now really using my card. And like in any other market, tokenization enables really higher security, and therefore I believe that although it's again not seen necessarily by the consumer, but this creates the confidence, because you have the habit and frequency to pay without the fear of fraud or misuse. Because if you once have these kind of fraud cases, you probably start actually thinking, should I use my card at all? And maybe particularly with this merchant, because this merchant was associated to the fraud. As said, so the other benefit I see is that there is a good user experience, because you can enable nice things with the tokenization, things like that you don't need to re-enter your card details when your physical card is expiring, because that happens automatically in the background.
Yeah, e-commerce tokenization is most related to the payments, right? If you see I wanted to give a holistic picture of e-commerce, how the e-commerce industry in India. And the e-commerce industry in India is a $700 billion industry, and which is growing. Even last year to this year itself, it has grown 70%. And there are two big players in India. Most of the e-commerce one is Amazon, as you all know, and second one is Flipkart. Flipkart is one of the Indian-born fintech, not fintech firm, e-commerce firm. And there are small boutique wellness e-commerce sites or pharmacy e-commerce sites. There are a lot of niche carved out, and a lot of small e-commerce companies are there. And payment industry, e-commerce industry depends on the payment industry, right? The moment you have surge in e-commerce industry, payment industry is going up. And that's why tokenization help a lot, because I try to do my shopping in different websites, right? I do shopping in different mobiles, right? One mobile or one laptop or one tab, right? Tokenization, you don't need to enter your account numbers at any cost. You can use it once you got your token, that is available in everywhere, wherever you do it. That gives an experience. No hassle of entering so much of data, your account number, your CEBV, this, that, so much of data you don't need to enter, right? That makes your convenience. Your shopping is very convenient with tokenization, and safe and secured also. And in India, in e-commerce industry, we are because of there is a lot of monopolistic between 2-3 big players like Amazon and this one, and they were building like the way we build a platform like UPI for democratizing the payments. We are building India country is building one e-commerce platform, ONDC, one network for digital, open network for digital commerce, so that the small merchants don't need to depend on the Amazon or Flipkart to display their products. They can develop, we give a tech package for them, and then they just need to integrate, and then they can publish, they can create their own websites and do the e-commerce. And this is just to stop the monopolistic or duopolistic kind of nature in the country. And the second is a lot of growth in e-commerce, because Facebook has invested, Google has invested, and retail, Reliance is one of our biggest industry. They have invested. I think we see a lot of growth in e-commerce. As I already told, a lot of millennials, and exactly pandemic has surged. I never used to do so much of online shopping. Now I'm pushed into, because I cannot take a risk, right? I mean, I think people habits also, pandemic has changed a lot of people habits, and those habits is not going to go reverse, because I am more convenient. I don't need to waste my time to go shopping, right? Right, my behavior is changed, right? Now I go to Amazon, and then I book whatever I want, from apparel to footwear to medicines to everything, right? I think this COVID has changed a lot of behavioral shift for the consumer, and that is going to continue forever. That's why e-commerce and digital industries, payment industries are going to surge without doubt. Yeah.
I've just finished. I'm going to say, I don't want to say reading. I've been listening on Audible to the new book about Amazon, and one of the big parts in it is Amazon obviously moving into India and absolute clashing heads with the team at Flipkart. it does seem that when it comes to e-commerce, there's a lot of room for competition, but it all seems to be focused on one platform, whether it be a Flipkart or an Amazon. There's competition within that, which means that there's still quite a large opportunity for fraud, and over the last 19 months it has evolved. How have you seen from your perspective fraud evolve over this backdrop of very large organizations with lots of small players using them, and how can tokenization work to reducing this?
Yeah, well, like we discussed, so the e-commerce growth has been enormous, well, globally, but also in India, partially because of the COVID, but I think that the technology and the kind of a habit of the people is also there, and that means basically that also the fraud follows, unfortunately. And I just read also the very recent report from Juniper just a month or two back, and basically on their reports they say that there is about $20 billion in during this year that will be lost by the businesses due to some sort of online fraudulent activities. And of course this presents very high number, both in the the volume, but also the monetary value. And this is also compared to previous years, that's roughly almost 20% increase, which just states that it's increasing very fast. And then, of course, if you think also the cost of fraud, it's quite high. So it's a 1.52% of the revenue. So it has a significant, and unfortunately, also this seems to grow. So if nothing is being done, and for this reason, for example, these mandates in India are happening, that there is, for example, this tokenization mandate being in place.
Marketplaces are, as I already told, marketplaces are the ones which are right now very monopolistic marketplaces are there. And we are going to, as a country, we are going to develop open network for e-commerce, and we are going to use all the technologies like AI, and we are going to use IoT for payments. And we are using fraud is one of the biggest thing which we are curbing with a lot of behavioral analytics and with using AI. And we are already using the payments like keychain. We introduced recently. You can tap and pay. Your keychain is your wallet now. There is an app. You just load the data and then you can use keychain. And pandemic has surged a lot of offline payments and contactless payments, where you don't need to swipe your card. You just tap your card, or you simple screen. You just do the QR code. And in fact, we are working on offline payments also in the for e-commerce industry, for every other industry. And offline payments is something where you have a card, you have small wallet in that. And that area, no need to have the internet connectivity. Even there is no internet connectivity in the rural areas or any other area, still you can do the payments because you have a chip and you have small wallet and the card where you can use it. I think marketplaces has, I'm in touch with, like, I just love Amazon and love Flipkart, Myntra, all of them. But small scale, what is our vision is to touch the rural areas and semi-urban areas. Now the penetration is in the first big cities and metros, and a small extent to the rural areas, very small extent to semi-urban areas. Now we have to go touch semi-urban and especially rural areas, where you don't have internet connectivity. What kind of products we need to build? Even we build a payment products, offline payment products without internet connectivity also. With SMS, you can do a transaction with just SMS, right? I think when you want to, financial inclusion is something which we always work on it to uplift all the sections of the society, right? It is not like your banking or your e-commerce should not be like one section, right? We are, as a country, right, our government, our RBI, or our company vision is to give more and more services and more kind of services suited to those rural areas. Yeah.
Let's get the old crystal ball out. Let's look at a few predictions. First of all, let's look at e-commerce in India. What role do you think that the larger marketplaces are going to have going forward, and how can they themselves help reduce fraud? Because again, in India, we're dealing with a very big scale.
Yeah, future is for cashless economy. That is our goal, and we are building central bank digital currency, CDBC we call it as. We are trying to use blockchain technologies and build digital currencies for ourselves. That is one thing. As I already talked, there is so much of financial inclusion products we are building. Aadhaar enabled payments. That means that in the rural area, there is small ATM will go to the rural area. A person carries small ATM and puts there, and you use your thumb impression. You don't need to be educated. You just use your thumb impression and you can take out the cash from the ATM. Small ATMs. We have built financial inclusion products like that. We are going to build for the IoT products. As I told, one keychain, right? We wanted to build our payments with smartwatches and various form factors, right? And we want to build only one card for you can use for transit, tap and pay, or you can use it as debit card, and you can use it as a wallet. We call it as one mobile, one card, one card. In all forms and shapes you can use. You don't need to have special card for transit, special card for buses or anything of that sort. One single card. We wanted to have it. We are already there almost. And we are going to go offline payments where internet is also not there. What kind of products we have to build? That is also is in the agenda. And we are using a lot of technologies in India. India is very well versed with the emergence of technologies like and AI, blockchain, IoT. We are using every technology and all open source technologies. We are doing blockchain payment and settlements where a lot of fraud happens, right? A lot of security blockchain gives us in the payment industry while we are doing settlements and payments. And AI is amazingly, we are curbing the fraud today. Today we decline transactions depends on the AI's recommendation. We online decline if his behavior pattern is different than regular behavior pattern. We directly decline those transactions. And we matured the technologies to that extent where we use to the mainstream. That's the payment, and India has developing a lot of India stack, a lot of open source technologies, and then they're democratizing. Yeah, I built some language translator, right? And then I democratize to everyone in AI, like English, Telugu, Tamil conversions, and a lot of rural areas, people in the mobile phone, they want to speak in their own language, in Telugu, Tamil, Punjabi, whatever it is. Those kind of products also we are building. And we are making free flow tolling. Today, we have RFID tag, and there is a boom barrier. You have to pay the toll. And what we are trying to do is we want to try it like many other developed countries where you just free flow tolling, right? You just go on the way and then set up a gantry and just deduct the number plate and then it do the tolling automatically. These are the few innovations we are doing for the country. Yeah.
Marketplaces will play, yes, very dominant role, and this is very interesting. Coming back to what you mentioned earlier, is that in India it's a little bit different. It's not like any other market, but you have a very strong also local actors. You mentioned one, but there are also Jio, which is conglomerate operating on let's say telecom, but also banking and being a marketplace too. You have Paytm, very big marketplace and e-commerce player, and they provide, of course, vast array of services and also very sophisticated and competitive shopping experiences together or competing with the global giants like Amazon's. So I believe that India, it will be very interesting to see kind of how this market develops, but I see that the local players have a very strong footprint going forward too.
And let's now just explore the future of the payment scene in India, because it is still very young. And one of the things I've always find very fascinating about, well, M-Pesa is kind of the perfect example, is when you have these sort of young, very forward-thinking, technology-driven communities, massive opportunity for leapfrogging. We saw it in China with QR codes. We saw it with M-Pesa with mobile payments. Against that kind of backdrop, what's the predictions for the payment scene in India going forward? Are they all going to be using Dogecoin? What's the prediction?
Well, that's a $1 million question. I would bet still that there are, let's say, the existing card rails and also, for example, this UPI will get even stronger because there is, of course, every one of us, when we have our money somehow being managed, so it's about whom do you trust, and I think that yes, there will be other alternative payment means coming to the market, whether they are this kind of a crypto currencies or then maybe the central bank e-currency, but for the next few years I see the highest growth really on the existing propositions, but they will then flourish. I mean, there could be many other solutions built around, for example, UPI. There will be more digital payments in different wallets. For example, these marketplaces, they will introduce and have introduced already their wallets with the payment functionality built in, so that you can pay on point of sales, you can do in-app payment, you can do e-commerce payment. And the only thing what I think is a fact is that India will be big on payments, and there are predictions already that it will be actually much bigger than, for example, what the China is as of today.
Absolutely. I think, India seems to be very service-driven compared to China, which seems to be almost very kind of manufacturing goods-driven, which I believe, hopefully, that might play a factor into the payment scene. The last thing I kind of want to touch on is, we've got what's on your bingo card for 2022, but where's G&D going to fit in this?
We have already invested quite a lot already the last 4 or 5 years in India, also collaborating with the local players, and then what we do, we look on the standardized, hopefully globally interoperable solutions and support, for example, payment schemes like RuPay introduced by NPCI in India, and definitely will continue on this path. Another important, very important piece for us is how to make this also consumer friendly. And payment is always a balance of the security, but security is not so much seen. It's maybe the perception of the user, but it's very much about the convenience. So this is what we try to bring solutions to the market. One example on that one is that we want to also look the authentication piece, because it's not actual payment necessarily, but for the secure payments you need to anchor this somehow that the user is authenticated, so that you know who is using this one. And then this is really kind of something that we want to make it also very user-friendly, because sometimes this balance of security and convenience is not so easy to do. So these are the, let's say, the areas that we invest, and hope to, of course, find then more customers and partners in Indian market for this.
Absolutely. Soujanya, do you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, my organization agenda is, as I already covered in the Indian payment scene, okay, my organization agenda also is introduce innovation is one of our, I think, our core proposition. And there is a lot of innovation is happening in the fintech industries and other areas where we collaborate and take that innovation and build financial inclusion products, right? Where nobody is touching that area, right? It's not profitable. The banks are not touching the rural areas because that's not a profitable. Bank is not ready to open the branch there because it's not profitable for them, right? And our agenda is always in financial inclusion, building financial inclusion products, and take the innovation from everywhere, every country, every fintech. We are creating sandboxes around our product. People can come and create innovation. We give open API, like open banking. The way it is that we will give our open APIs. Anybody can build products on our data. We process almost billions of transactions in a day, billion transactions in a day, which is very, very big. 1 billion transactions. I mean, we have mammoth of data. And anybody can build, we are creating a data platform and AI platform where people can come and they can download the data sets and they can create some AI models for purposes. And we create open source data sets, and so that innovation can happen. And a lot of data scientists come and do a lot of modeling. They can do fraud modeling, or they can do like computer vision based models for the automatic number plate detection. Or we are trying to build more and more open source platforms, open source APIs, where banks, fintechs, and every other individual consultant can utilize the platform and build top of it the products. We wanted to become a product based company to platform based company. That's what is our strategy and mission. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there's certainly the demand there as well. Not to get too deep into it, because this is another rabbit hole. It does seem as well that when it comes to digital identity, having those sort of identity, I mean, that's the big play here in India. If you're able to get digital identity, then of course it then makes it a lot easier to be able to make payments and reduce fraud at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. So I think in general, digital identity is kind of a foundation also for digital payments, because if you think about just the payment, I mean, any account to transfer money from one account to another, there is some sort of identification of these accounts basically. But of course, when we typically talk about the identity, digital identity, it's about the user identity, but it could be the business identity of the businesses, or really more in the future, even this IoT space, machine to machine and the identity. But absolutely, this digital identity is making a big change how we can interact securely in the digital world. But also same time, I've been following this for the last 25 years, the digital identity. So it's not that easy to implement, but we see already that there are some implementation, and then, you know, combining this, like you said, with the payments. So I think that there is a much more to build on.
Excellent. Right. Thank you all so much for, well, first of all, for our audience, but also for our panelists for taking the time to speak with us today. Jukka, where best to find out more about yourself and Giesecke & Devront?
Okay, well, best way is always go to our website. That's easy. So it's www.gi-de.com, and we are quite well available in different social media channels and so forth. So happy to chat with anybody who has something in mind in the digital payments.
Excellent. And Soujanya?
LinkedIn.
Excellent. I've been Ali Paterson. Thank you all so much.